Good morning, everybody. We haven't really worked on cutting so far in any of my videos this week. So we're going to work on some cutting this week. And yes, you could cut out just paper, like no big deal, cut out some shapes, whatever. But for some of my earlier learners, cutting is a really hard thing to do. So what I like to use, a couple things. One thing is straws. When you're cutting straws, you can really feel the straw kind of pop. And that really helps my little ones really feel. You can just feel the pressure when you're cutting. Careful, they kind of like to pop. So mom and dads, you might want, grandmas, grandpas might want to help. So you can really feel that resistance. So it helps the kids feel their cutting. One thing I always make sure, thumbs up. So make sure your kids are using their thumb up. A lot of kids like to go sideways, upside down, all sorts of things. Thumb up, pointing away from you. So I always tell my kids, thumbs up, thumbs up. And they can just cut the straws. So you're going to have a bunch of little straw pieces when you're done. All right, so we're going to pretend that I've cut that whole straw and I've got my straw pieces. There's a few things you can do with straw pieces. You could string them. So they're small. So again, I've talked about pincer grasp before, that little pinch. When you're holding these little straws, you're holding it like a pencil. So some of my kids who have a hard time with pencil grasp and holding that pencil the right way, another really great way to work on that. You're also working on using two hands together. You're stabilizing the string with one hand, and you're trying to move this little straw piece on with another. I'm using ribbon today because I had this little birthday party balloon ribbon in my house. So you can work on stringing the pieces onto the string. The thing I like about this ribbon is it's kind of stiff, so you can see it doesn't just flop when I hold it. So my kids who are learning how to string beads, this is a really great one because it's not floppy. It's easy just to guide right through there. You could use a shoelace. You could use regular string. If they're having a hard time with one of those floppier ones, you can wrap some tape around it to make it stiffer. So you could use this for all sorts of things. You could make a necklace with it. You could do a little project with it. If you had different colors, you could make like a rainbow. You could use all sorts of things with this. Another thing, I love Play-Doh. Play-Doh's a great tool when it comes to OT. I mean, I should get my Play-Doh out here. It's kind of stuck. Took me a while to find Play-Doh that wasn't hard because my kids don't put the lids on all the way. So you've got your Play-Doh here. So here's a few things you can do. You can just put your Play-Doh down and you can maybe make a little flower garden. And you can just stick those right on in there. So that's good for that strengthening, that pinch again. And it kind of makes a cool little pattern in there. You can see the little holes. So that's a fun thing they can do. They can just go through and make all these little dots. Another thing is you can hide these straw pieces in the Play-Doh. I do a similar activity with therapy putty. It has a little more resistance, so it's really good for strengthening the hands. This doesn't have the resistance like the putty does, but they can still come through and they have to try to dig out the straws and find where they are. And you have to feel, so you have to be able to feel with your fingers the difference in the texture between the straws and the putty, or the Play-Doh. Another way to practice your cutting, you can actually get rid of your straws there, and you can cut the Play-Doh. So you or your child, preferably your child, can really flatten this Play-Doh out, working on using those two hands together. And then you can use your scissors to cut the Play-Doh. And similar to the straw, it gives that resistance. Paper can be kind of floppy. It can move around. It can be really hard to get a straight line. The Play-Doh just gives that resistance. And they can make all sorts of things. You can make little confetti, and you can make Play-Doh cupcakes. And you could decorate your cupcakes with little pieces of Play-Doh confetti. All sorts of things. So those are some ideas for you today for your kids. So get out the straws, the string, the Play-Doh, and just have some fun and create. And I would love to see pictures of what you guys can create today with these objects. All right, have a good day, everybody.